Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Adi Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Hariharaya Rama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Gopal Govinda Rama Shri Madhusudana Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohan Gopal Govinda Rama Shri Madhusudana Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohan Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Shri Rup Shri Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha Shri Rup Shri Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Madhava Shri Radhe Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Prahlad Nrsimha Jaya Prahlad Nrsimha Prahlad Nrsimha Jaya Prahlad Nrsimha Jaya Prahlad Nrsimha Prahlad Nrsimha Jaya Prahlad Nrsimha Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Taigora Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Shri Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo
Very good.
Hare Krishna. Om Jnanachmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagata Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nigamagalapataruragalitam phalam Sukamukadam Vratadrava Samyutam Pivada Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavaka Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udidayet Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. My name is Ramanipati Das. I reside in Sridham, Mayapur for the last about 8-9 years now. I used to be in the Middle East before. For about 15 years, I was in the Middle East. Then I recently, about 8 years, 9 years before, I shifted to Mayapur, doing service in Sridham, Mayapur. I would like to firstly thank the devotees for organizing such a beautiful program, covering various prayers by great, wonderful Mahajans, devotees from the history of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a very auspicious and very purifying initiative. This topic was given to me by His Grace Shyamsundar Jagannath Prabhu a couple of months before. He asked me whether I can do this topic. So I was more than happy to grab the opportunity for my own selfish reasons to purify myself by trying to go through the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's very purifying to read Srimad Bhagavatam, particularly the prayers from Srimad Bhagavatam by great devotees. It shows us the way how one should approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these prayers are very, very helpful. So if you think we are ready to move forward, I'll start the class now, unless you want to wait for some more people to come.
No, Prabhuji, please start.
All right. Thank you. So there are this set of prayers from King Satyavarta is in Srimad Bhagavatam in the 8th canto, towards the last chapter of the 8th canto. The last chapter of the 8th canto basically discusses about the Leela of Matsya Avatara. The Lord has different incarnations. The Lord takes different incarnations, descends to this material world for 3 main purposes, as we all know. The first is to protect the devotees. Second is to annihilate the demons. And the third reason is to re-establish the religious principles. And this incarnation of Matsya is no exception. Here also the Lord appeared for these specific purposes. So you might have uh, come across this section of Srimad Bhagavatam. I think yesterday there was a discussion about covering this particular aspect, if I'm right. So there we might have seen how the Supreme Lord tries to bewilder everyone. And during Matsyavatara, he came as a small fish in the palm of the king. And then he was talking to the king to seek shelter. And then he was shifted to a pot, and then from the pot to a tank, and the tank to a river, and the river to a big ocean. And all these places were not sufficient for the Lord to live. So that basically, and within a span of few hours, he expanded from smallest fish to the biggest fish the whole universe could have come across. And then that shows the magnanimous potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this goes to prove again and again how great the Supreme Personality of Godhead is. He's inconceivable, right? He's beyond the conception of the human brain. We cannot grab the Supreme Lord with our brain and logic. He's beyond brain and logic. So the basic point we need to understand about the Supreme Personality of Godhead is he can be understood only when he reveals to us. Otherwise, nobody can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So having said that, here uh, the 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 subject matter is the Lord advises King Satyavrata that he should organize all the brahmanas, the rishis, the 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 spices and the seeds, etc. Basically, all living entities should come into the huge boat that is going to come across the following day on the ocean, and then everybody should board uh, the ship, the huge ship, and the ship will be tied to this fish using uh, Vasuki as a connecting link. So like that, he advised, and after getting into the boat, King Satyavrata offered a set of sequence of prayers, and that's what the subject matter of discussion today we are going to see from Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is a brief introduction, a brief summary of the pastime, and then we are going to go into little more detail about the prayers offered by King Satyavrata to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So before we go into the specific prayers in today's discussion, firstly we are going to cover excuse me. Firstly, we are going to cover a brief introduction about the importance of prayer, and then we will read through the set of 8 verses which were offered as prayers by the King Satyavrata. Along with the translation, we will read. And then I'm going to tell you the important points that are covered in these 8 prayers. And then we will go into the details of this, and then we'll give you a summary. So this is how the structure of today's class is going to be. And then we will have a short discussion on some realizations. Someone wants to comment on the subject matter, what we are discussing, we can have that for a few minutes. And then I will hand over the session to all of you. Then we can discuss about the glories of His Grace, Shyam Sundar Jagannath Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So, prayer is one of the 9 important processes of devotional service. We all know the nine processes of devotional service: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam. Atmanivedanam. These are the different processes of devotional service. And each of these processes are potent, highly potent, to take one back home, back to Godhead. However, as members of this age, in this material world, in this Kali Yuga, the most important process recommended for all the practicing devotees is Shravanam and Kirtanam, that is, chanting and hearing. Hearing and chanting. And then comes one of the angas of the 9 Navavida Bhakti, 9 process of devotional service, is Vandanam, prayers. So which will help us to come back to Godhead. So if we want to pray, we should know who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is. Right? Without knowing who He is, we cannot offer prayers. There is no object of prayer. He is the subject and object of prayer. So that's the first thing we need to understand. So according to Bhagavad Gita, there are different people who approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead for different reasons. Artho jigyashu artarti jnani cha bharatarshava. This is the verse from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So artho jigyashu artarti jnani. These are the 4 different type of people who approach Krishna. One is deceased, one is the desirer of wealth, one who seeks knowledge, and the other one is very inquisitive. So these are the 4 types of people who approach Krishna for various requirements. But Srila Prabhupada, in one of his lectures, he mentions that these 4 people, the desirer of wealth, the deceased, the inquisitive, or those who go after knowledge, all these are not engaged in pure devotional service because they want something in return. Since they approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they will get purified in due course of time. But the approach is not pure devotional service. The pure devotional service is, as mentioned by Srila Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Anya Abhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karma Dhyanavritam Anukulyena Krishnana Shilanam Bhakti Uttama. Uttama Bhakti is that which is rendered solely and only for the purpose of pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anukulyena Krishna Anushilana. Anukulya, favorable. That should be favorable for the Supreme Lord. What it should avoid? Anya abhilashita shunyam jnana karma adi anavritam. We should not have any other desire. Desires relating to karma, desires relating to jnana, desires relating to yoga siddhis, and so many other things. Adi means etc., etc. So one should not have any kind of desire. The only desire one should have is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the topmost prayer. That's the topmost form of the topmost way to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that is pure devotional service. So when we pray to the Supreme Lord, we should offer prayers in such a way that we please Krishna. So Krishna is pleased when we want to go back home, back to Godhead, because Krishna is looking for that. He's sending so many of his representatives. He's coming himself in various manifestations. He's incarnating himself, and he's coming through various energies, basically for one single purpose. That purpose is to reclaim all the fallen conditioned souls to take home back to Godhead. And if we endeavor to, Lord Sri Krishna will be very, very pleased with us. There was a small discussion between Srila Prabhupada and one of his followers, Pushta Krishna, in the early years. So there, Prabhupada is explaining about why should one pray to the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada is explaining why one should pray. One is praying because one is in great difficulty. For that we have to pray. What is the greatest difficulty that one can have? The greatest difficulty that one can have is the struggle in this material existence. All the other difficulties are very, very relative. I have money, you don't have money, you have money, I don't have money. I have food to eat, you don't have food to eat, you have food to eat, I don't have food to eat. I have great wealth, you don't have great wealth. You have so much of brain, I don't have brain. All these things are very, very relative. But what is common to everyone is the struggle in this material existence of Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. This is the greatest hindrance that we have in this material world. So Prabhupada says, when we are in great difficulty, then we pray to a person who can take us out of the difficulty. That is prayer. We plead, we beg to that person who is going to take us out of that difficulty. That is prayer. When the small child is crying, baby is crying for the mother to come and rescue from whatever reason for which the child is crying. Similarly, one should cry. Prayer is a mood of crying to the Supreme Lord to somehow or the other take us out of this place. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam, the place of misery. Dukkha alayam ashashvatam, temporary place. Somehow or the other, we are pleading, we are requesting the Lord to move us out of this material world. And this is the mood of prayer offered by King Satyavarta in these 8 stanzas. And Prabhupada quotes this verse in that discussion. Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavam budau kripaya tava pada pankaja stita dhuli sadrisham vishintaya. So we are praying. Who do we are praying? Tanuja, Nanda Tanuja. Nanda Tanuja means foster son of Nanda Maharaj, son of Nanda. Oh Krishna. What we are praying for? What are we praying? We are praying to the Supreme Lord that I am so fallen in the ocean of this nishains. Somehow please pick me up from this ocean. Somehow pick me up from this ocean. So if someone is thrown into the ocean, even if he is a very good swimmer, he will not be able to cross over the ocean. So he needs some help. We are in this material pool, material ocean, Bhava Samudra. So somehow we need to be picked up. So we are praying. This is the mood of this prayer. This is what it does. Then we will be happy. When we are picked up and placed in a proper place, then we will be happy, very happy. So this is what the prayer is all about. So devotees only for the one purpose, that is to go back home, back to Godhead, to satisfy Krishna. And that is pure devotional service. That's the only reason why we are all engaging in devotional service. The only reason we are engaging in devotional service is to go back home, back to Godhead. That's the only purpose. If you see all the purpose of Srila Prabhupada, everywhere he would be mentioning, one has to go back home, back to Godhead by chanting the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The topmost method in this Kali Yuga, given to us by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is repeated again and again and again. And this is re-emphasized in Srimad Bhagavatam in these prayers, set of prayers by Satyavarta Muni. So here we are going to start from Canto 8, Chapter 24. The title of Chapter 24 is Matsya, the Lord's Fish Incarnation. We are going to go through verse number 46 all the way to verse number 53. These are 8 very strong prayers, powerful prayers, and very practical prayers which we all can relate to easily because we are all in the identical situation for which to come out of that position. Here King Satyavrata is offering this prayer. Very simple and very, very effective set of prayers. So let me try to share the screen with all of you. If I'm going too fast, please let me know so that I can slow down a bit. Is that okay? The speed is okay? All right, thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji, it is okay.
Yes, Prabhuji, okay.
So I'll let you're able to see the screen?
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right. We will read all the verses and translations, and then I'll go into the details of the contents of the purports. Shri Raja Vacha Anadya Vidyopahatatma Samvidas Tanmula Samsara Parishramatura Yadrachayo Pastrayam Apnuyur Vimuktidona Paramo Gurur Bhavan. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. The king said, by the grace of the Lord, those who have lost their self-knowledge since time immemorial, and who because of this ignorance are involved in a material conditional life full of miseries, obtain the chance to meet the Lord's devotee. I accept that Supreme Personality of Godhead as the Supreme Spiritual Master. This is number 46. Then we go to 47. Jano budoyam nija karma bandhana sukechya karma samihate sukam yat sevayatam vidunotya sanmatim grantim sabintya dridayam sano guru. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. In hopes of becoming happy in this material world, the foolish conditioned soul performs fruitive activities that results only in suffering. But by rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one becomes free from such false desires for happiness. May my Supreme Spiritual Master cut the knot of false desires from the core of my heart. Next we move to text 48. Yatsevayagneeriva rudrarodanam puman vijahyan malamatmanastamaha bhajeta varnam nijamesha sobhyayo bhuyat saisha paramo guror guru. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. One who wants to be free from one who wants to be free of material entanglement should take to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and give up the contamination of ignorance involving pious and impious activities. Thus, one regains his personal identity just as a block of gold or silver sheds all dirt and becomes purified when treated with fire. May that inexhaustible Supreme Personality of Godhead become our spiritual master, for he is the original spiritual master of all other spiritual masters. Text number 49. Nayat prasada yuta bhagalesham anye cha deva guravo jana swayam kartum sameta prabhavanti pumshas Tamishwaram Tvam Sharanam Prapadye. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Neither all the demigods nor the so-called gurus nor all other people, either independently or together, can offer mercy that equals even 1/10,000th of yours. Therefore, I wish to take shelter of your lotus feet. Then we move to text number 50. Achakshurandasya yatagrani kritas tata janasya vidusho buddho guru tvamarkadrik sarva drisham samikshano vrito guruna swagatim bubushatam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. As a blind man, being unable to see, accepts another blind man as his leader. People who do not know the goal of life accept someone as a guru who is a rascal and a fool. But we are interested in self realization. Therefore, we accept you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as our original spiritual master. For you are able to see in all directions and are omniscient like the sun. Text number 51. Jano janasya dishate shatim gatim yaya prapadye taduratyayam tamaha tvam tvam tvavayyam jnanam amogamanjasa prapadyate yena jano nijam padam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. A materialistic so-called guru instructs his materialistic disciples about the economic development and sense gratification. And because of such instructions, the foolish disciples continue in the materialistic existence of ignorance. But your lordship gives knowledge that is eternal, and the intelligent person receiving such knowledge is quickly situated in his original constitutional position. Text number 52. Tvam sarvalokasya suhut priyashvaro hyatma guru jnanam abhishta siddhi tatapi loko na bhavantamandadhi janati santam hridi Hridibaddha Kamaha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. My Lord, you are the supreme well-wishing friend of everyone, the dearmost friend, the controller, the super soul, the supreme instructor, and the giver of the supreme knowledge and the fulfillment of all desires. But although you are within the heart, the foolish, because of lusty desires in the heart, cannot understand you. And the last one in this series, text number 53. Tvam tvamaham deva varam varenyam prapadya isham pratibodhanaya chindyartha deeper bhagavan vachobir grantan hridayan vivirnu swamoka. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. O Supreme Lord, for self-realization I surrender unto you, who are worshipped by the demigods as the supreme controller of everything. By your instructions, exposing life's purpose, kindly cut the knot from the core of my heart and let me know the destination of my life. Hare Krishna. So these are the set of 8 verses, the prayers, very practical for all of us to meditate on and see how we can take help from this set of prayers. So the key points in today's verse. So the first place, King Satyavarta is making an announcement that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the supreme spiritual master. So this is the first point that we need to understand. He is the Adi Guru. He is the origin of everything. Without him, nothing happens. Aham sarvasya prabhuvo mattas sarvam pravartate. He is a source of spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from him. So he's the source. He is the origin. He does not have any origin. Anadiradir Govindam Sarvakarana Karana. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. So he is a source, and there is no source for him. So there are different purposes. So in this verse, the first verse, that is 46th verse, there is a beautiful phrase that is used. Paramo Gurur Bhavan. Paramo Guru. He is a supreme spiritual master. Why he is called a supreme spiritual master? Because he comes in so many different ways to help the conditioned souls in this material world. There are different ways he comes in. He personally comes to help the conditioned souls. Once in a while he comes as the same supreme self, that is as Krishna, which he came 5,000 years before. Then he comes in the form of his incarnations. And then he comes in the form of his energies. He expands through his energies. And he's guiding us from within as Paramatma. Right? And he's guiding us from outside in the form of spiritual master, Guru, Diksha Guru and Siksha Gurus. So, like this, he's trying different ways to attract our attention towards his lotus feet. So that's why the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called addressed by the King Satyavarta as Paramo Gurur Bhavan, Paramo Guru, topmost Guru, supreme spiritual master. Lord Sri Krishna is a supreme spiritual master. We have heard from the Upanishads, Acharyam Mam Vijaniyat, one who acts on behalf of the Supreme Lord should be treated as good as the Supreme Lord. So we have our Diksha and Siksha Gurus here. So they are as good as the Supreme Lord because they are representatives of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They carry out the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada explains this in this purport. So they should be given as much respect as we give to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura sings in his Guru Ashtakam prayer, which we sing every day in the morning Mangalarati time. Yasya prasadat Bhagavat prasado Yasya prasadat Nagati kutopi. So Supreme Personality of, the spiritual master is the only shelter for all of us. If we please the spiritual master, then we are fine. If we do not please the spiritual master, then we don't have any other gati. No other go. No other go for us. So this is the mood in which King Satyavarta is making prayer to the supreme spiritual master, the Lord who appeared in front of him to rescue him and all the subjects in the form of Matsya. So he's offering prayers of gratitude. He's offering prayers through which one can get out of this ocean of material world. That is his first set of prayer, by glorifying, by Supreme Lord, by calling him as the Supreme Guru. Paramam Guru Bhavan. So in the second set of verses, second verse, so he's praying. He's praying for what? Not for his health, not for his wealth, not for anything else. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Shikshashtakam prayer, Nadanam najanam nasundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishware bhavatat bhakti rahe tuki tvai. No, he's not praying for any of these things. I don't want dhanam. I don't want wealth. I don't want janam. Janam means followers. Sundarim. Sundarim means beautiful women. I don't want beautiful women. I don't want wealth. I don't want followers. I don't want beautiful women. Right? Well, all I want is birth after birth to remain as devotee. That's what he wants. Here in the 47th verse, King Satyavarta is praying to cut the knot of false desires from the core of my heart. Please remove that knot of desires, false desires. We cannot remove the desires, but we can remove the false desires easily. So what's the difference between desire and false desire? Nobody can live without desire. We all know that. We all have desires, so many desires. But false desire are those desires which do not please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. That's false desire. False desires are desires for our own gratification, our sense gratification, which is not good for us. That's what false desire is. That false desires arises mainly on account of avidya, that is ignorance. What is ignorance here? We forgot our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Because of that forgetfulness, we do not understand that we are eternal servants of Krishna. This is avidya. This is ignorance. This is the fundamental reason why we are in this material world. Because we are ignorant of the fact about our relationship with Krishna, that we are eternal servants of Krishna. This is the first thing we should understand. So we had the desire to be away from Krishna. That's false desire. We wanted to enjoy away from Krishna. That is false desire. We forgot the fact that Krishna is the ultimate enjoyer. That's why we are in this situation. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram. In the 5th chapter, 29th verse of Bhagavad Gita, he says it. Bhoktaram. Bhokta means enjoyer. I am the enjoyer of all the austerities and sacrifices that we perform. Sarva loka maheshwaram. He's the proprietor, master of all the proprietor and master of all the universes. Sarva loka maheshwaram. Maha Ishwar, topmost controller. Maha Ishwar. Ishwar means controller. So we forgot that we are insignificant servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We make so many different plans. Oh, I have to earn this much. I have to make this building. I have to make that house. I have to do this. I have to do that. So many material plans we make. But all these plans can be trashed at one single go by the material nature, by Maya. Just by one stroke, she can remove everything away from us. And we are still again and again, birth after birth after birth, we are trying to do the same thing. This is our hard knot. That knot is made of false desires. And here, King Satyavarta is praying intensely to remove that knot, which is binding him, according to him, and binding all of us. This knot needs to be removed. So here Satyavarta prays to the Lord to sever this hard knot of false happiness. He's praying, my dear Lord, please remove this hard knot, which has come because of ignorance. Please remove my ignorance. Elsewhere in the Ishopanishad, I'm sure you all would be knowing about how the prayer is, please remove the effulgence that is coming from your body, please, so that I can see you. And then another prayer is going in the Ishopanishad, which says, oh my Lord, please remember whatever good things I've done, whatever little good things I've done. Please remember, give me credit for that. We're praying there also. So here Satyavarta is praying, please remove the hard knot from my heart. All the false desires, please remove my ignorance. Only Lord can remove our ignorance. Lord's representatives can remove our ignorance. Jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Tattvadarshi, the person who has seen the truth, can show us the true path. Tadviddi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Tattvadarshi is the spiritual master, the guru, who can show us the path, who is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that guru can show the path, where, provided we follow the instructions of the guru properly as the guru instructs us, not according to our own whims and fancies. Then guru takes control of our life. Then Krishna shows the light through which he gives the light of knowledge. He explains in the 10th chapter, he gives the intelligence for us to understand him. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. He gives the buddhi, he gives the intelligence for us to understand Krishna. Unless Krishna gives that intelligence, we cannot understand him. Krishna gave intelligence to Lord Brahma. Brahma did not know what to do. Krishna gave the intelligence from within and then showed him the way how to do the creation. Then Brahma was able to do. Krishna has the potency to show us the way. So this is what we need to understand from this prayer. Maharaj Satyavarta is praying sincerely, "Oh my dear Lord, please remove that hot knot of false desires." And this is the mood of our prayer to the Supreme Lord every day. When we go in front of him, we should just fold our hands and pray for this. Praying for this is not materialistic prayer, because we are praying to go back home, back to Godhead. Anything to do with Krishna and fulfilling Krishna's desire is pure. So one should not mistake, I should not have desire, so that means I should not pray at all. No, we should pray. We should pray for the purpose of removing all unwanted desires from the heart. Then things will become easy for us based on this prayer. The next one, again, it's very identical. The next verse, to be free from material entanglement. He's praying to free us from the material entanglement. Material entanglement comes because of our desires again. We are getting attached. We are attached to our body. We are attached to our kinsmen. We are attached to the land of birth. We are attached to the property. We are attached to so many things around us, our nation, our community, our religion, this, that, so many attachments. That's why at the end of Bhagavad Gita, towards the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vrajaham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami masucha. Abandon all types of religion, just surrender unto me. Krishna ends Bhagavad Gita like that. And he begins Srimad Bhagavatam, again with the same note. Kaitava dharma, please remove all the Kaitava dharmas. Second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmacharanam satam vedyam vastamamatra vastu shivadam trapatrayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavatam Mahamuni krite kimba parerishwara sadyo hritya vrudyatetra kritibihi shushribi takshanat. Please abandon all types of cheating religion. Just surrender unto me. That's how it starts, Bhagavatam. So we should understand from these things very clearly. Our material entanglement is there. Again and again we get into these difficult situations again and again because of this major fundamental issue, that is ignorance of the fact that we are eternal servants of Krishna. That's the main underlying factor. So we are discussing about these things. So Prabhupada cautions here in this string of verses, he cautions here that we should not get caught by false gurus. There are so many gurus, so-called gurus, who offer different types of benedictions. Different demigod worships are there, which offer different kind of benedictions. The Vedas are full of different benedictions offered by different varieties of demigods. The false gurus offer so many hopes, false hopes to all of us. So Srila Prabhupada warns us cautions us not to get entangled into these type of things. And King Satyavarta is praying here that these benedictions offered by these demigods or by all these false gurus, so-called gurus, or not even 1/10,000th of the smallest particle of benediction offered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one should be very intelligent where we are going to place our faith in, not on the temporary stuff. Whatever demigods are going to give, whatever the so-called fancy gurus are going to offer us, these are all very, very temporary stuff. In fact, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna makes it very clear, Ah Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. The topmost planet in the material world, the Brahma Loka, down to the lowest Patal Loka, everything is temporary. So all the demigods come within this radius only. So whatever they're going to offer, it's all temporary. So the intelligent person prays for that which is beyond this, beyond this 14 planetary systems, beyond this material world. So in the first canto, 5th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada Muni, while instructing Vyasdeva, he says, so one should not go after things which are very, very temporary. The Sukha and Dukkha will come and go. One should not go after all these things, because like how the Dukkha comes without calling for, Sukha will also come. One should not worry about these things. So Narad Muni is praying there, instructing Vyasdeva in the 5th chapter of the first canto. I'm just thinking about that verse. What is that verse? Anybody remember that verse? Tallabhyate dukkhavat anyata sukham, something like that will come. Anybody remember that verse? Beautiful verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 5th chapter. Anyway, so these are the moods of the great devotees. So we have to follow Mahajanayena Gatasupanta. We have to follow the paths of the great Mahajanas, great devotees. So this is very important for us. So we should not get bogged down by small hurdles that we come across in our life. We should depend on Krishna, have firm faith in Krishna, that Krishna will somehow protect us. Krishna will come to our rescue. Jagai and Madai was given topmost, greatest of the mercy by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. Right? The greatest of the demons, Putana, was offered special benedictions. Even though she was trying to kill Krishna, she was provided with the benediction of being a mother in the spiritual, a nurse who is one of the mothers. Just because she had a simple desire, one moment of desire, how nice it would be if I become mother of this boy. Just a moment's desire. Krishna fulfilled that. So what would happen to us if we have the desire, oh Krishna, please protect me. Maharani Kunti, she's praying, please give me more and more problems. Vipadasantu tashashvat tatra tatra jagat guru bhagavato darshanam yat syad apunar bhava darshanam. Please give me more and more difficulty. Who is going to pray like this? Any of us? Oh my dear Krishna, please give me more difficulty. No, none of us pray like that. And that is the topmost devotee here, who is praying, give me more difficulty so that I can remember you. When I remember you, then all things will go away. There is no birth again when I remember you. That's the mood of that devotee, Maharani Kunti. So here, Satyavarta Muni is praying, please remove all the entanglement from my heart. Remove all the false desire from my heart. And one more thing we should understand as we started this class, that we understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in the next verse, King Satyavrata is praying, my dear Lord, You are able to see all directions at all times. Not like the blind leaders of this society. The blind leaders of this society can only lead us to the blind path, which may lead us to the darkest regions of ignorance. This is what our society is going towards. Fortunately or unfortunately, I'm part of a school management here in Sridham Mayapur. So I'm seeing the education department, how they are functioning. They are giving rules and regulations to guide the children who are the future of the society. So many different things which are absolutely stupid in nature. They are giving so many different schemes to understand. At the end of the day, these things are not going to help anyone at all to go back home, back to God. This is our education system today, leading us all towards a particular situation where we will not able to get out of that place at all. Back home, back to God. It's not possible with this kind of education. But our society is guiding. The leaders are blind. They are ignorant of what needs to be done. This is our society. If education department is doing like this, what can we think about other departments? They're completely ignorant. They're blind. They can only lead, since they are blind, they will lead us towards a blind alley only. They can't lead us to a proper path. This is exactly King Satyavarta is praying here. Oh my Lord, I don't want to follow all these blind leaders. You are the one who knows everything, all directions at all times you can see and guide us. So that's why we should go through a spiritual path, because that personality has seen the truth. He knows exactly what we are heading towards. That's why we should have the spiritual master and follow the spiritual master properly, because spiritual master is non-different from Krishna. He's a representative of Krishna because he's carrying out the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna gives that knowledge through his representatives. So Krishna gives that eternal knowledge. He's providing that knowledge from within us, Paramatma. From within us as Paramatma, he's providing that knowledge. So Paramatma is there in everyone's heart, in the thief's heart, in the rogue's heart, in the murderer's heart, everyone's heart. Paramatma is there. But why others are not able to understand? Only devotees can understand this. What is the partiality? Is Krishna partial? No. Those who are rogues, thieves, and who has lusty desires, they cannot understand Krishna's instructions because of their own engrossment into this material pool. They cannot understand because of their lusty desires. King Satyavrata says that because of the lusty desire, they are not able to understand these things. Oh, my dear Lord, please help me by providing this perfect knowledge, eternal knowledge. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives that assurance. What is assurance he gives in the 10th chapter, 11th verse? Tesham evanukampartam aham jnanajam tamaha nashayamyatma bhavasto jnanadipena bhashvata. I'll show you the shining lamp of knowledge. With that knowledge, you can move out of all the ignorance. In Chaitanya Charitamrita is said, Krishna Surya Sama Maya Andakar. Krishna is equivalent to light, and Maya is equivalent to darkness. Wherever Krishna is there is no question of darkness, ignorance. Wherever there is light, there is no darkness. Darkness cannot exist when there is light. Similarly, wherever there is Krishna, there is no question of darkness. So this is the simple truth. If we catch this truth, then our life will become very successful. We have problems because we don't have Krishna. We don't keep Krishna with us. The moment we keep Krishna with us, then we will not have problems. Then the question may arise, oh, Pandavas went through so many difficulties. They're all great devotees. How did they do that? Yes, Pandavas went through great difficulties because Krishna engaged them to show a lesson to all of us. How dear he is to his devotees. how much struggle one has to go through, and at the end, Krishna prevails. Devotees prevail. Name bhaktya pranashyati. My devotees will never perish. Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita. My devotees will never perish. So Krishna always there for the devotees. So Krishna will take care of that. Krishna will give that shining lamp of knowledge. So that's why we start praying in the beginning. Om Ajnana Jimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. We pray to the spiritual master. Why we pray to the spiritual master? Spiritual master gives us that knowledge, shows us the path. Spiritual master is the most essential personality. He is a direct representative of Krishna. He shows us the path in which way we should do. That's the mood of prayer of King Satyavarta. This is the mood of prayer of King Satyavarta. This is the mood of prayer of King Satyavarta. So the so-called the bogus guru, the so-called philosophers or so-called teachers or so-called so many different personalities can offer only temporary economic development related ideas. Temporary economic development, but temporary, that's all. It's not permanent at all. But a spiritual master coming in a bona fide disciplic succession can provide us permanent solutions. So here Satyavrata, King Satyavrata is praying for that kind of guidance, that kind of eternal knowledge, that kinds of light he wanted from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he's praying for that. In the next verse, 7th verse, he's praying, "Oh my Lord, you are the supreme well-wishing friend of everyone. You are the dearmost friend, the controller, the super soul, the supreme instructor, and the giver of supreme knowledge and fulfillment of all desires. Please fulfill my desire. My desire is to serve you, to go back home, back to God. Please fulfill my desire. I'm not able to understand your instructions clearly because of my own lusty desires. Please help me overcome this. Because you're my friend. You're a friend of all living entities." The same thing again in the 5th chapter, 29th, same verse, what we discussed a little bit before. Krishna is saying, Bhoktaram Yajna Chapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, we discussed. And the third line, Suhurdam Sarva Bhutanam. Suhurdam. Suhurdam means friend, well-wisher. Sarva Bhutanam, all living entities. You are a friend of everyone. So please show me the path from where I can move out of this lusty desire so that I can see you clearly. So this is the mood of prayer of King Satyavrata. And then finally he prays, "Oh my Lord, I surrender unto you." He lifts his hand, "Oh my Lord, I surrender unto you." Everybody is praying to you. Demigods are praying to you. Lord Brahma is praying to you. Everybody is praying to you. I also pray to you. By your instruction, exposing life's purpose, remove this knot from the core of my heart and let me know the destination of my life. Please let me know what is my final destination. That is your abode, to render service unto you. So this is only Krishna can tell us. Krishna's representatives can tell us. Nobody else can tell. So Krishna has personally come there to help King Satyavrata and all his associates, rishis and munis, for this purpose, that is to protect them. And our King Satyavrata is praying to remove all the attachments, entanglements, knots by offering these set of prayers. So the prayers are very, very strong, effective. The more we pray like this, in the mood of servitude, in the mood of pleasing the Vaishnavas, in the mood of pleasing the spiritual master, in the mood of surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead through a bona fide parampara system, then our path is very clear. We will be guided, handheld by the Supreme Lord and by his representatives. One time, Srila Prabhupada, when he was in the West, after finishing a class about the importance of the sadhana, he explained during that class about different sadhana standards. And then he got up from his Vyasasan and then he stood. Even if you follow 90% of what I'm saying, you will be successful in your life. So all the devotees were seeing, oh, what, 90%? Prabhupada, it's impossible. How can we follow 90% of what you're saying? Then Prabhupada took few steps from the stage, and then he walked towards the stairs. Short set of stairs were there. So he stood there. All right, even 80% you follow, you'll be fine. And then the devotees assembled there. 80%, oh Prabhupada, no, 80% is not possible for us. We are all fallen conditioned souls. Until few months before, we were drug addicts, we were womenizers, and you are expecting us to follow 80%. Like that, they were all looking. And then Prabhupada finally said, okay, final. If you follow 70%, you will go back to God in this very lifetime itself. Then he put his chadar on his shoulder, and then he just held his head high and walked out of the room. So this is the mercy of the pure devotees of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada has given so much of mercy to all of us. So by offering this kind of prayers, depending on Krishna, depending on the Supreme Lord and his representatives, and praying very sincerely from deep from our heart, the path will be shown to us. Path will be shown to us. I'll just give one example, very, very practical example. We were sharing this during our Smriti Sabha for Shyam Sundar Jagannath Prabhu a couple of days back in Sridham Mayapur. We had about 40-50 devotees who had assembled. So one of the devotees was mentioning, he was about to, from the gate, he was supposed to take a left to go to his next destination, Kanpur, but instead he took a right. He took a right, and that right has taken him to a different destination, that is Goloka Vrindavan. The God, Supreme Lord has guided. And he was chanting, and he was hearing the chanting, and he had the consciousness of Srimad Bhagavatam in his heart, in his mind. Is fully engrossed that situation. He left the body on the bank of Ganges. He left the body in front of a Lord Shiva's abode. It's called Shivdoba. Right in front of Lord Shiva's abode, he left the body. The greatest of Mahajans, Lord Shiva, one of the 12 great Mahajans. He left the body in front of Lord Shiva's abode called Shivdoba, in that place, that corner. Right in front of that, he left the body on the bank of Ganges by chanting the holy names and hearing the holy names. In the consciousness of Srimad Bhagavatam, after giving 1 long hour of Srimad Bhagavatam, he left the body. The Lord make all the arrangements for this wonderful soul, great Vaishnava. The Lord personally arranged all these things for him. What else we need? He may say, oh, Bhagavatam is 5,000 years old. Nobody knows what happened then. No, here we have the live example. And it's happening day in and day out for so many devotees. Prabhupada's life is a great example. He was teaching us the art of dying. Somebody else is teaching art of living, but here there's a personality, Srila Prabhupada, who taught us art of dying in the midst of devotees while giving the lecture, while Kirtan was going on. How is it possible? It's possible because the Lord, the Supreme Lord, takes care of his devotees personally when we pray sincerely. The sincere souls will be taken care. Dadami buddhi yogam tam tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti pukam. Those who worship the Lord, offer prayers to the Lord, engage in devotional service to the Lord sincerely, then the Lord takes care of them personally. This is the mood of prayer of King Satyavarta. He was a great king. He had great responsibilities, but he was offering these kind of prayers. So from these set of prayers and all the other prayers that we have come across and going to come across in the future, the mood is the mood of surrender, understanding that Krishna is a supreme personality and we are all eternal servants. We cannot do anything. We don't have any capability to do anything. It is just by the mercy of the Lord and his pure devotees, representatives. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langa ite girum yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinadaranam Paramananda Matam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. So, with the mercy of Guru, with the blessings of the Guru, who is a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a dumb can speak eloquently, a lame can cross over the mountains. So we are praying in that mood. We are incapable, but somehow please help me. Then Krishna provides that path for all of us. So with this mood, we should engage our whole life in Krishna consciousness, depending on Guru and Krishna, depending on the devotees and Krishna. These are the two things we have to do. What is that? Read the scriptures, serve the Bhagavatas. Two types of Bhagavatas Bhagavatam is talking about. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. What is that? Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Every day, every moment, we have to render service to the Bhagavata. One is the book Bhagavata and the other one is the devotee Bhagavata. By reading the scriptures, we serve the book Bhagavata. By rendering service personally to the great Vaishnavas, we render devotee Bhagavata service. So when we do this every day, sincerely, then things will be very easy for us. Things become very easy for us. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu. All the abhadras will go away. Everything becomes destroyed. Then the Lord, we can understand that Lord is there in our heart as Chaitya Guru to guide us. Because our desire is to please Krishna. There is no lusty desires at all in the heart. When we come to that point, then we understand him easily. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. If we have any questions or comments, we can share now.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Class was wonderful. I just want to tell everybody that His Grace Ramanipati Prabhu Das is the Siksha Guru of His Grace Shyam Sundar Jagannath Prabhu. So we are actually so fortunate to hear his glories from his own mouth. Hare Krishna. Any questions, please? Questions are welcome.
Prabhuji, thank you so much for insisting that the Lord always guide the devotees from the heart. Those point, we should always remember that, as you said, His Grace Shyam Sundar Jagannath Prabhu would have taken left, the direction will be different. He would have left the body even out of the dham, because the Lord directed from the heart. He took the right direction, and he had a glorious departure back to Godhead.
But he left us behind.
That's the one sad part.
He took the right path, but he left us behind. That's the sad part.
Exactly. But we all very grateful and thankful to you, Prabhuji, for doing all this wonderful seva to His Grace Shyam Sundar Jagannath Prabhu. And see, Lord chosen you to serve Shyam Sundar Jagannath Prabhu, in spite of there are so many, but Lord chosen you. That's your good fortune. And we are very, very grateful and thankful to you, Prabhuji.
I'm very, very happy to be one of the instruments. Yeah. As Satyanarayan Prabhu was saying, actually, I'm just one of the Siksha Gurus. There are many, many individual devotees who played an important role in the molding of Shyam Sundar Jagannath Prabhu's devotional services. I'm just one small speck in that. That is His Grace Radhabhav Prabhu, who played a major role in guiding all of us in the congregation, very senior devotee, under whose guidance we were rendering devotional service when we were in in the Vaisharja and all. So yeah, without the association of wonderful devotees, it's very, very difficult to carry out devotional service anywhere, anywhere. So we may have so many differences. We may have so many differences because this is material world. Two individuals means we will have differences. But the principle is we are trying to practice devotional service. As long as this principle is clear, all these differences are very, very temporary. It will just go off. We should just remain in devotional service. I'm just remembering while I'm talking to you, I'm just remembering a beautiful verse from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where it says, the purport Prabhupada says, um, there is only one qualification for a son to inherit the property of the father. Can somebody try and say what it is? There's one qualification for a son to inherit the property from the father. Anybody?
The son should be very faithful to the father.
No. So I'll conclude. So the son should outlive the father. The son should live longer than the father. Then automatically, whether he's faithful, no faithful, doesn't matter. He will get the property of the father. If he, because by law he's supposed to get the property of the father, so he will get the property of the father. All the wealth of the father, the son will get. So here, what we are trying to say by this example is that one should remain in devotional service under the banner of International Society of Krishna Consciousness created by Prabhupada. Somehow or the other, we should stick to it here. Whether we are perfect or not perfect doesn't matter. We should just remain in the association of devotees somehow or the other. Then that will help us go back to Godhead somehow or the other very quickly. That we should remain in Krishna consciousness. We should remain in the association of devotees. We should remain in the banner of ISKCON under any circumstance. We may find so many anarthas, we may say, oh, this leader is not doing like that. That person is not doing like that. He's not doing like that. All these things are fine, but we should remain somehow focused in our service. Then we will be successful. We'll be taken care. This is the only thing. That's why that example was given in that verse. 10th chapter, 10th canto, 14th chapter, 8th verse. If anybody want to refer that beautiful purport, please somehow try to read that purport. Very beautiful purport in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, if we don't have questions or comments, probably we can start the other part of our discussion. Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam Grantaraj ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
So we'll
Just sharing the screen. Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Anila Premadana Corona Pracho Jaya Nilo Premadana Corona Pracho Eno Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Taku Eno Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Taku Kaha Mora Swarup Rupa कहा सनातन, कहा मोरा स्वरूप रूप, कहा